Good evening. We're in Studio 13C today. And it's my pleasure and true honor to be speaking with a World War II frontline infantry vet, Mr. John J. Jeckovich. How are you doing today?
Great, doing great.
You're looking well in your new clothes.
Yeah.
Do you know today, Mr. Jeckovich, is Friday the 13th, 2025?
Friday the 13th?
Are you superstitious?
I forgot about it.
But are you superstitious?
No.
I didn't think you were. You don't believe in ghosts, do you?
No.
I didn't think you did. Okay. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift, right?
Yep.
Today is a gift, wow. Mr. Jeckovich was born in 1925, and now here we are, 2025, and Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100. Knocking on that door of 100, yeah. The greatest generation ever you're looking at, folks. Frontline military, frontline infantry, right?
Yeah.
During World War II, 16,400,000 young men and women and 16,400,000 young men and women participated in World War II. Courageous people. Most were rear echelon. Mr. Jeckovich was frontline combat. Of these guys, we have probably 5,000 of them left. And we're losing them at a rate of 150 a day. So anyone have any questions or text messages for Mr. Jeckovich, feel free to ask. 407-366-0000. Yeah. Mr. Jeckovich, we on second time around on your book. How many pages was your book?
849.
How many?
849.
Wow. I know you didn't use Google. I know you didn't use a computer to write it. How'd you write it?
Yellow pages.
Yellow legal pads.
Yeah.
How many pads were that?
Huh?
How many pads did that equal? How many writing pads about?
Paper sheets in there?
How many writing pads did you take to write this book?
About 3.
Okay. Well, you did a wonderful job. We already read the book once. We're on the second time around. And we're on chapter 6. And we're winding down chapter 6. It's Herman Furlough and Farewell to Annie. Just to update before I read some, because I think we better put a couple pages reading under our belt today, because the last 3 days we've just been taking text messages, but we've been ignoring the book. And so before I open the laptop, Mr. Jeckovich, I'll need your dog tag number.
42965.
Okay. So here's Mr. Jeckovich is on furlough, 1 week up north, Niagara Falls, New York, with his mother and his sister. And now he took the long train ride, a couple days, down to Owensboro, Kentucky, to spend some time with his girlfriend, Ann, and
Mahaney.
Ann Mahaney, yeah. So let's just see, I'll pick up, that's where we left off, and I'll try to put a couple pages under our belt. Just then, Miss Mahaney returned from work, and we heard her say good night to her driving companion. She greeted me warmly, so now you're in Ann's house. She greeted me warmly and with much affection. I felt that she was sincere, and I believe Ann now when she said that her mother liked me very much. During supper, we talked about the uncertainty of the war.
Oh boy.
And when would it finally be done? And we could all revert back to a normal life. My normal life sent a shiver down my back. I didn't want this part of my life to end. I wanted it to go on forever. And then said we were going to school, and then said that we were going to school presently, and that we had a better clear away the supper dishes. Her mother helped, and it was then that she asked me to stay the remainder of my furlough. Okay, that was nice. I felt embarrassed, which was usual case for me when someone on a rare occasion would do something kind and sincere for me. I hesitated and said, I would be a privilege to stay here providing it would be no great imposition. She said that it was nonsense and then hugged me graciously. All the while Anne was enjoying my embarrassment, smiling and watched as she watched the serious expressions on my face as her mother talked to me. We arrived at the university and located a library for me and stated that she would see me at class change in about 1 hour. How was that library? Is it a pretty nice one?
Oh, the big library. It was a college library.
So let me see if I understand this now. Anne is still going to the university.
Yeah.
While she's in class, you're in the library reading. You love to read, so that was a perfect way to spend some time. I settled down with the encyclopedia on Europe and its history. It was not long before Anne returned. Didn't you used to have a set of Encyclopedia Britannicas?
Oh, yeah. I don't know what happened to it.
They're gone?
Yeah. 21 sets, 21 books. It is gone.
That was the Google of its day, and the
Yeah.
information you wanted.
Yeah.
Where'd you buy those Encyclopedia Britannicas at?
I sent away for them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Were they expensive?
Well, the whole 21 book set was probably $175.
Okay, that's a lot of money then, yeah. Okay, let's see where we go from here. The library was devoid of any young male students at my age. There was no male students in the library because they're all in the Army.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there were a larger number of older students in their late 30s. So if you're late 30s, they didn't want you. Army didn't want you.
Yeah.
There was also a large number of influx of female students of all ages. Several freshmen came by my desk as I was reading and scrutinized me as I've never seen a soldier before. Okay, so I take it you're in full-blown uniform.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be damned. And finally we turned, and I asked her how she made out with her quiz. She replied that she'd done well, a B+, and it was all my doing since she had studied at great length while I was up north on furlough. As we drove out of the school parking lot, I said I wanted to take her somewhere. She suggested Big Al's. Do you remember Big Al's?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was a restaurant.
As it was late already, Frederica Street was just behind the university, and Big Al's was just a little way beyond.
Yeah.
We were there in a few minutes. We ordered a Big Al burger between the two of us and took great delight in recalling the first time we had come here. She then reserved her thought process and mentioned that we did not have much time left, only 3 more days. Now you got to go back in 3 days to camp. Wow. She took my hand and held it firmly. I also thought of the time element.
20 minutes.
I also thought of the time element and how difficult it would be for me to arrange to not seeing her, for me to adjust to not seeing her, and not being able to look forward to our next visit. We had made one last trip to Weatherberries to retrieve my overnight bag and pay for the lodging for one day. The people in charge were extremely considerate and not charging me for another day. I paid the modest bill and thanked them for their courtesy and kindness. We made a trip back to Ann's house, and once again, I began to feel the pangs of trepidation and self-consciousness. I have never encountered a situation like this, and it made me tense. Anne realized my dilemma and attempted me to feel comfortable and make me feel as comfortable and wanted as possible. As it was late, Miss Mahaney had already retired, which made it a little easier to tolerable and less self-serving, at least in my way of thinking. Anne locked the downstairs and we climbed the stairs to our respective bedrooms, as was my manner when I was under great stress or such tension. I would say something frivolous to ease my frustration. As this one of these occasions, I quietly, almost in a whisper, stated, I would feel much better if I could sleep with you in your room. Oh, well, boy. Oh boy. Anne turned to me and put her finger to her lips, telling me to be silent, and we would have wakened Mother, whose room we had just passed. She took my hand and directed me into her room, where she silently closed the door. She then reached into the chest of drawers and pulled out a rectangular-shaped box wrapped in tissue paper. She handed it to me and told me to open it. By this time I was completely flustered. No one had ever given me a gift outside of my mother, and I was not accustomed to this kind of compassion and kindness. I opened the box and wore a new pair of red pajamas.
Oh.
Do you remember those red pajamas?
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded as I kissed Anne, thanking her as sincerely as I knew how. I was very touched by her gesture and said I had not worn a pair of pajamas since you entered the service.
Yeah.
You never wore a pair in the service, they don't issue them. She then told me that the bathroom was on top of the stairs, and if I wished I could get ready for bed, and she would be up shortly. Having brushed my teeth and washed up, I put on my newly acquired pajamas. They fit perfectly. Just then Anne opened the door into the room. She looked stunning and exciting in a short white silken nightgown and high-heeled slippers. I stood by and absorbed all the wonderful features displayed in her skimpy nightgown. I forgot for a moment my embarrassment in wearing the pajamas. Now you're wearing red pajamas.
Yeah.
I can't place it. As my whole self was occupied in the gorgeous sight of Anne. She walked to me, and the fragrance of her familiar perfume excited me as she put her arms around me and kissed me several times. I then said it was making difficult to abide by our mutual agreement not to have sex. She smiled and walked over to the bed and stretched out on it. I could not resist this temptation. I lay next to her and began kissing. It was a difficult situation. No. Oh no. Some of these I can't read, Mr. Jeckovich.
Huh?
Some of these I can't read. Censored. Let's see where I can pick up a little bit more. This is a family rated show. We gotta be GP rated. Okay, let's see what I can pick up here. I then asked her if marriage would make it any more tolerable, or we would really change anything. She pondered for a minute and said, it would make a difference if it would make it worse. I agree with her, thinking of what lay ahead of me in the next months or perhaps years. I told her I was very lucky, and I now had someone to write to and to be getting mail regularly from someone I cared for very much. She said that she would write often and ask me to keep in touch as I moved about. Did she write often?
The what?
Did she write often?
Yeah, she did, yeah.
Did you return?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, I like that. Let's see where we're at. With that remark, she turned and straddled my body with with hers and her, oh no, family show. Missing a few paragraphs here, sorry guys, can't do it. Let's see. Moving down the bottom of the page. She turned, glanced at me, and went back to what she was doing. I once again sat at the kitchen table, watching her body movements as she walked about the kitchen. Miss Mahaney had left for work earlier. What kind of work did Miss Mahaney do?
She was a school teacher.
Okay. Left work earlier, and so there was just the two of us for breakfast. I felt more at ease being here with Ann alone rather than other people about. We ate breakfast and
13 minutes.
we ate breakfast. Did you notice I had to censor most of these pages?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a family operated show here. We couldn't read those pages of 142 and 3. No. Okay, as we, you got a great book here, Mr. Jeckovich. It's very descriptive, to say the least. As we ate breakfast, I told Ann about my outlandish ideas of coming to her room last night. Oh, Jesus, now we're getting this again. She surprised me in saying she had to wait in bed for a while, thinking that I would just do that. Instead, sleepyhead and enjoyed my sleep more than her company. After breakfast, I asked Ann if there's something I could do around the house and to try to repay her mother for all the kindness they had shown upon me. She said there was nothing and not to think of it in that light. They were kind and considerate because they wanted to be and they cared for me very much. So there we're getting right into what we said yesterday. Empathy.
Yeah.
They had great empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy is the glue to humanity. That's a great family there. They have empathy. Empathy. Without empathy, you're nothing. You're nothing. I was moved by her sincerity and candor, and there was no way I could do anything contrary to their well-being. I felt kinship toward them, and I was cherished for a long time, and all the kindness would sustain me through some formidable obstacles ahead. Ann said that she had several errands to perform, and I could relax here or go with her. What did you decide to do? She had errands to run. Did you go with her or stay at the house?
Yeah, I think I went with her. She was driving. Was driving.
Yeah. I immediately stated that I would go with her, and that I would not miss a moment of being close to her and enjoying her company. She looked at me for a moment and turned towards the kitchen sink, and then turned around again to face me. She said quietly, "Why can't this last forever? What we have together, why must it end like this, by your leaving and probably never to return?" Let's answer that question. She said, "and probably never to return." Did you ever return?
Oh.
Well, fast forward 80 years, Mr. Jeckovich, 80 long years later, called Ann Mahaney on the telephone in Owensboro, Kentucky.
She picked up the phone.
She answered the phone.
Yeah.
How'd she sound?
Yeah. Feeble. 89 years old.
Yeah, nine was actually lower, in the 90s. So you picked up the phone 80 years later. You did promise you'd call back, but who the hell would ever made it 80 years to call back? But Mr. Jeckovich did. And you called her number, she answered the phone, and you had a long or short conversation.
Short.
And you said she was feeble?
Yeah.
Could it be Alzheimer's?
No.
What do you think?
Just old age.
Old age, yeah. Did you do anything different after that phone call?
No.
How about her picture in your office?
I took her picture up, put my mother's picture up.
Yeah, and what'd you do with her picture?
With Anne's picture, wrapped it up in a towel, put it in the filing cabinet.
Yeah. Father Time waits for nobody.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeckovich said a couple weeks ago, he blinked his eyes at 20, and now he's 100.
Yeah.
Where the hell did 80 years go?
Uh,
And that's why you're thinking of Ann as a 19 or 20-year-old girl, right?
yeah.
80 years went by.
Yeah.
70 years or something like that went by. But she answered the phone, which is actually amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Doesn't look like the same person.
No.
Doesn't talk like the same person.
No.
And she had actually 70 or 80 years of different, life.
Yeah.
Wow. Father Time waits for nobody.
8.
Huh?
8.
Listen, boys and girls. It's a short dance around the sun. Enjoy every day, believe me. Mr. Jeckovich, I'm learning from his example. He blinked his eyes at 20, and now he's 100, and I believe that, what he said. Father Time waits for nobody. You can't beat Father Time. But who the hell knows how fast it goes by, right?
Yeah.
Wow. No one will understand that. They might say they do, but in reality, no one understands how fast time goes by. All right, let's see. Wow. Let me pick up. She said, "Why must it end like this? By you're just leaving and probably never to return." Well, the good news, you survived the war.
Yeah.
You had a lot of injuries, but
Yeah.
you survived the war. I walked over to her and held her, and she put her head on my shoulder. I did not have any answer, nor did I have an explanation to give to her. That would be relieve the uncertainty and doubt in her mind. I then thought, as I held her, the only short range solution was to ask her to marry me, but that in itself would solve nothing. I had only 3 short days left to be with her, and after that, an emptiness and uncertainty which could ultimately resolve in more pain and hardship on her part. How would your mother have accepted Anne?
I think she liked her, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
How would your mother accepted Renee?
She wouldn't like her.
How would your mother accepted Jean Rowan Young?
I don't know.
How would your mother accept Delphine Stulak?
Well, she loved her.
Yeah. 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah.
They went everywhere together for about 70,
Yeah,
60,
best
70 years.
best thing for my mother.
Best thing for your mother, yeah. Okay, you got a couple more paragraphs, and then you feel up to answering any questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me fill these paragraphs. I'm going to put this last page under our belt. I did not want for her, and I did not want her to think that she was obligated, not that she would ever think that, no matter my condition, when I returned to her. Of course, there was always a possibility that I would return unharmed. You returned unharmed, but you had shot in the shoulder, you were beat up, you were stabbed,
Lost a hip.
lost a hip, bombed with a dirty bomb, shrapnel still in your body, frostbite and trench foot.
I
You're
got
still
this
suffering.
right now.
Still suffering from frostbite 80 years later. So you did survive the war, but you had many damages. many damages, but they weren't debilitating. You were able to still live a life. Of course, there was always a possibility that I would return unharmed. Yeah, there was, which brought up even a more difficult situation. My family and my dependence on me. Now, you had to deal with your mother taking care of her.
Yeah, yeah.
This loomed as even greater obstacle in my mind, the mere fact of being disabled or even dead. Whew. Being disabled or even dead, if you had a choice of being dead or disabled, which way would you tend to go?
What?
If you had a choice, you say in your book here, if you had a choice of being disabled or dead from the war, which way would you go?
Depending how disabled I was.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Reduced to its simpler terms, if I had no family responsibilities, that's taking care of your mother, and that would not be the slightest hesitation on my part to marry Ann and take my chances with the future. I am confident that the two of us could resolve my situation thrust upon us. But with my mother, and to a lesser degree my sister, I saw no amicable solution to our dilemma. I knew I was not completely honest with Ann and telling her my true feelings about my family and my overriding sense of responsibility
3.5.
toward them. I felt that if I said any more, she would feel as if I was choosing between her and them. And in reality, that was precisely what I was doing. In this final analysis, I was not mature enough emotionally to make the important decision regarding my own well-being. Well, I'm gonna hold off on that. We have tons and tons and tons of messages and text messages, and I'll throw them at you. Mr. Jeckovich, when you were a businessman, how frugal were you?
How what?
How frugal were you?
How frugal?
Frugal. Were you cheap as a businessman? Were you like saving your money? How frugal?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jeckovich, what gets better with age?
What gets better with age?
Yeah.
Experience.
Okay. I see. Here's a good question. Mr. Jeckovich, what do you being that you're knocking on the door at 100 and superior health, what do you typically, it's a good question, what do you typically have for breakfast, Mr. Jeckovich?
What do I have for breakfast?
What do you typically have for breakfast?
Typically,
Yeah.
oatmeal, brown sugar.
You did you well. Made you to 100 minutes.
Minute 40.
Did you play cards during the Army?
No.
Did a lot of guys?
Yeah, that was the big thing, yeah.
Did you smoke during the Army?
No.
Did you drink?
No.
What would you do for pastime? What would you do?
No, I do?
Yeah.
Read.
What, when I was in the Army?
Yeah.
I just had to follow what they told me to do.
Yeah.
And when you had time off, you had those 4 girlfriends, right, Dave?
Yeah, he had 4. Who the hell has 4 girlfriends during World War II? And he won all these numbers. Mr. Jeckovich, how do you cheer up someone that's having a bad day?
How you cheer them up?
Yeah.
Try to figure out why they're upset.
Okay, that's a good point. As a boy, there was an epidemic of chicken pox during the 20s and 30s. Mr. Jeckovich, have you ever had chicken pox?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Mr. Jeckovich, you consider yourself old-fashioned?
Old-fashioned?
Yeah.
Not to a point, I do, yeah.
Well, you always got beautiful new clothes on every good day. You look very handsome to me.
25 seconds.
Huh?
25 seconds.
And so you lived in Niagara Falls, New York all your life.
Yeah.
Would you ever move back?
Well, there's nothing there.
Nothing there. But during your time, you loved it.
Yeah.
What was your address?
At 3063 Owens Avenue.
Yeah.
Remember, I lived upstairs, and my mother lived downstairs. That was
Yeah.
that was a good setup.
Yeah.
My mother